Hello and welcome to this episode of the Animation Fixation Podcast Show, where we talk everything animation.
I'm not doing it.
Just do it.
We saw the same movie, right?
Just do the intro.
Fine. But first, I want to apologize to our audience, especially those who have never seen or even heard of this abomination, for exposing them to this. When 3D animation first burst onto the scene in the mid-90s, it led to a massive financial success. It was believed that 3D animated films were guaranteed golden geese, which could do no wrong. Boy, were they wrong.
Skipping forward to 2012, a 3D animated film was released with a budget of $65 million, and the voiceover talents of Charlie Sheen, Hilary Duff, Eva Longoria, Wayne Brady, and even Christopher Lloyd. After over 10 years in production and a direct-to-video release in 2012, after missing the original 2003 release, the film made a pitiful $73,000 at box office and gained an abysmal rating of 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. The film is, of course, Foodfight.
Foodfight follows Dex Dogtective as he bands together with his friends and other infamous store mascots of their supermarket city to stop Lady X and their evil icon Brand X from taking over their world. With its confusing nonsensical plot and, let's say, unique look, what are your thoughts on this unforgettable film, Caitlin?
It happened. It was a thing, and it does exist. And yep, that's it. That's that's the less said about it, the better. Honestly, but oh my god,
It is hard to believe that this film is real.
I can't believe they spent $65 million on it. I think that's what's tripping me out. I've seen student films with a budget of $1,000 that look better than this. This looks like an extended cutscene from Crash Bandicoot 1.
And even the graphics in that were better.
Yes, they were. It's the whole thing looks like a video game gone wrong. And I do understand. So the film was in production, and then in December of 2002, hard drives were stolen that contained the finished assets of the film, and by the sounds of it, they weren't even ransomed back. It was just someone was trying to protect humanity from this, and I think at this point my hat is off to them. But they started again, and to save time, they decided to do mocap for the whole film. But they want us to do a Looney Tunes style. It's like going, I want to paint this wall white. Let's start by painting it black. Everything you do from that point is going to be harder. You can't. Humans don't move like Looney Tunes. You can't do that style effectively with mocap without just shooting both your animators like in both feet. It's not gonna work.
One thing that people don't understand about mocap is you don't just record the movement and there it is. There is so much cleanup and fixing that actually is required. Something like only 10% of the original mocap information is actually kept. The rest is the animators fixing and reanimating certain things. So it's so obvious in this film that they didn't do any sort of cleanup with the mocap. You have character models breaking. You have their arms doing constant dancing everywhere.
The mouth flaps don't even match up with dialogue. It's all out of sync and no one's bothered to correct it. And I get that at some point something is so much of a garbage fire, you're like, just why bother?
Yep.
But I'm just upset by this film. I'm physically upset by this film.
Yes, and it's not even the bad animation. Everything about this film is so damn ugly.
Yeah.
There's not a single frame that actually looks good.
No.
The textures are horrible. The models are horrible. The animation is horrible. There's barely any even decent lighting.
No,
it's... shading wise, it didn't even seem that they knew what they were doing. You had all the characters that looked like they were that had the same material on them, fine. But then you had this one furry weasel character thing that
plastic.
It was super shiny. Is he supposed to look like he was dunked in oil? Like The,
But like, there's no movement to the fur either. It's like
that's
the
right.
fur is modeled. It doesn't move. It is like a plastic model. But then he also moves like he's got drumstick chicken legs, which I don't quite
Yep.
understand.
Yep.
And then he moves like he's made of slime. It's really weird. I don't like him at all. And the whole comedy of just continually like doing like the Sid from Ice Age and like or not Sid. What's the squirrel's name? I can never remember. But anyway, like the squirrel where it's like every time he tries to do something, he just like gets like the thing fall on him. And I'm like,
Yep.
it wasn't funny. It
No.
wasn't funny at all.
There's like 99.9% of the jokes on here do not hit at all. You know what? I'll even say 100% of the jokes do not hit at all. This is not a funny movie.
The only thing in the film itself that gave me just a tiny momentary little chuckle was in Dex's office. There is a poster in the background, which is obviously a parody of 12 Angry Men. It's 12 Hungry Men. I'm like, that was
Yep.
it. That was the one chuckle this whole film got out of me. Like all of the other jokes, it's all like fart humor, and it just I feel dumber for having watched this film.
It's very obvious that this film was made for young kids, but
I still think that's insulting. Like,
that's the thing, it is.
what young kid is gonna find this funny? Like, it's not.
They might laugh at, hey, he did a fart, but it's completely out of nowhere and it's not even really focused on that much. But another thing, if this is supposed to be for kids, why all this sexual innuendo? And there is a hell of a lot of it.
Yeah, so much.
There's one thing in doing subtle innuendo that only adults are going to get, but some of these jokes, kids are going to be like, yeah, something's not right here.
I mean, Dan, the weird little chocolate squirrel thing, just straight up. Like every time there is a woman, and like all of the female character designs in this are super busty,
Oh, yeah.
super like sex symbol. It's real weird for a kids movie, especially. But every time one of these characters is on screen, Dan just like I've heard catcalls that are not
Yeah.
that bad on the street. Like honestly, it's quite disturbing.
It really is. I mean, there was even they had this fight scene at the end, and he's like, "Are those melons real?" And you have the evil character actually holding melons at her chest, ready to throw them. I'm like, really? You couldn't think of anything better than that?
No. I think there are so many character things that have just missed the beat in this as well. Like Mr. Clipboard, I think it is the Brand X representative. He's like, you listen to the dialogue, you listen to Christopher Lloyd's performance, and he's meant to be this evil, sinister character. And like the way his character is set up, he's this evil, sinister character. Why is he doing Ministry of Silly Walks? Like, I honestly thought he was going to kick himself in the head, and it completely undermined everything that he was saying. It really undermined this whole villain arc setup, because I'm like, so you're the comic relief. Why? What? Like, it was a complete disconnect in the performance. The voice performance was this beautiful, sinister, and then the physical performance was a crash of a clown car. I'm really confused.
Yeah. Nothing makes sense. I have no idea what's going on. I barely understand the plot as far as stop Brand X from taking over the supermarket city.
Yeah, but even the whole setup of like the foods, world, it's you just get thrown into it. So like it starts with like, the closing of the store. See all the lights go off, and then suddenly all these lights coming back on, and then the next thing I know, I'm in a park. Where did the park come from?
Yep. You kind of get a Wreck-It Ralph or a Sausage Party feel about it, but those worlds they're explained. There's nothing explained about this world that they live in. So from the get-go, you're completely confused. It's like
they just throw you straight into it.
Exactly, and you're like, is this place real? Is it imaginary? I think it ends up being real because they're like, oh, you can't be seen by humans.
Yeah, you see them jumping from like the tops of aisles,
Yes.
but the whole world for 90% of the world that we're in, you don't kind of get that sense that you're in a supermarket, in a shelf or something like that.
That's right, yes. At least with films like Wreck-It Ralph or Sausage Party, it all makes sense within the confines of that universe.
Yeah. It honestly looks like, as they've set up this whole kind of like city that they're in,
Yeah.
you see like there's this little like small section of city, and then there's just nothing behind it. It's
Yep.
like they went, don't worry, we'll put a matte painting, and then forgot to put a matte painting. And you're like, well, like, what is it? There's just orange? It's just orange back there.
They forgot to put a lot of things in this film.
A plot would be a good start.
A plot would be nice.
Plot would be
just
fantastic.
something. Please give us something. If you're not going to give us interesting characters, if you're not going to give us good-looking characters, if you're not going to give us a good-looking environment, at least give us a plot to work with.
Yeah, that would have helped.
What else can you say about this film? I mean, everything about it is horrible.
I mean, definitely the less said about the effects in it, the better. Just,
All the fluid effects drives me nuts. It's like they just clicked on an effects button and they're like, oh yeah, it'll be fine.
It was not fine.
No, nothing about it was fine. I will give it one prop though. At least it's consistent with how bad it looks.
I would disagree with you on that.
Oh,
fact.
okay.
Or maybe on the effects front, maybe. But like consistently bad, no. Because, for example, Danger Dan's plane, when he like crashes into the tree, in one shot, it looks like a plastic kind of plane. And then literally the next shot we cut to, you get this really like, the plane looks like the texture has switched to leather. It's really weird. The textures keep switching, like it's like level of detail is like going haywire, and things that is going, this is in the background, so I'm going to make it all blurry, and the next thing you know, you've got this like really intense texture that just does not belong there.
You would think that they'd be able to at least get one thing right. They can't even get consistency right.
And then it looks like for like stuff like the bark and like some of the concrete as well, they look like scans. Like they look like they're using like a really realistic texture, but then they're trying to translate it into this really cartoony world, and it really stands out. It's really out of place. It just doesn't fit.
Most of them just look like JPEGs that they got from Google.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's probably more accurate.
Yeah, it really didn't feel like the people making this film that like I always try and give the creative talent behind these films the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes they've got a ridiculous time frame to work with. They're really rushed. The directors might not know what they want, and it's just a very difficult work environment. But it's very difficult to actually make an excuse for any of them, because it's just terrible. All of it. It's so amateur.
It is. It is.
We see better work from students in their first year in learning how to do this stuff. Back when I was studying 3D, everyone in the class was doing better stuff than this.
Yeah.
Which comes back to the question, why the hell did this movie cost $63 million?
Oh no, it was 65, Tim. You've missed out a whole $2 million worth of...
Now, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but I've got one for this one.
Oh god, yep, go on.
Now, this was running through my mind. There's no way that a film looking like this cost $65 million, with the exception of the voiceover talent, which that doesn't make sense. But if you're spending this much on a movie, I reckon that it's probably some sort of insurance fraud, because I believe that film companies do insure the movies.
They do. Yeah.
So if you have all this money and you've insured it for however many millions, and you know that it's not going to do well, or you don't have any confidence in it, purposefully make it look absolutely horrendous, not spending anywhere near the budget, and then claiming everything back from insurance.
I mean, I'm not going to say that...
Maybe. It'll keep you up at night.
Honestly, maybe. I think... Well, I know, like, the only reason this film ended up getting the release it did anyway is the debtors kind of sold off the rights to the film. They auctioned them off, and Lionsgate bought it for $2.5 million.
Yes.
They were ripped off.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, it's...
There's definitely some people making a lot of money off this, I reckon, but not in the conventional sense. I reckon it's through insurance.
So I had been reading some stuff about, the director's visions for this film, and apparently there was a whole heap of other like tie-in films that they wanted to do kind of off the back of this, had a whole like line of merch that wanted to go out and was planning Foodfight on ice. Which, so humanity has been saved at least from that.
Oh, that is horrendous.
And we should forever be grateful.
Oh, Foodfight on ice.
I don't even know what that would look like. I don't want to imagine, because I think that nightmare might forever be seared in my brain.
I don't even want to think of any of these characters in real life.
I don't know how you do that, because again, going back to the point of if you want to make something Looney Tunes style, what are you doing putting real people in there? They don't move like that.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
It's just it's a bad move from start to finish.
Oh, it was absolutely terrible move, one that didn't make any sense, and something that is just not possible to work with. You can't make something like that look good.
But I mean, even if you look at, this did come out in 2012 now because of all of the production delays and the dramas that happened with it, but it was scheduled for a 2003 release. If you look at everything else that came out that year, what are we looking at? Like Brother Bear, Finding Nemo, Rugrats Go Wild. Like, this is such a standout as of just why. Like, it doesn't fit with any of the styles. Like, nothing there. Like, the technology existed to make it better.
Yep.
And you had $65 million.
One thing that's interesting, the animation studio that actually worked on this, I was curious to see if they've done anything else. So apparently, and this actually explains a lot, they did the effects for Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Really?
With its unforgettable effects. So that's no surprise there. Now, they've actually done a animation feature in 2020 called the Bobbleheads movie. It looks so dumb, and we will most likely have to do a review on it. But at least visually, it looks okay. It looks acceptable.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite interesting. Now, what did you think of the music, the voice acting, the sound effects?
The voice acting itself, like the actual performances, I don't think were particularly bad. Like they were fairly okay.
Yep.
Everyone was recorded on a different mic and nothing was mixed properly, so everyone's sound quality is drastically different. It's quite jarring to listen to. So there's that. The music is too loud and it is a pop abomination, and I do not like it at all. I genuinely, when we first go into the food world and that song starts blaring, I thought I was stepping into a musical, and I was very confused and slightly scared. Don't get me wrong, I love a good musical, but my emphasis is on the good.
Yes, of course.
So I was just really scared to see where that was going. The dialogue itself, no, throw out the script and start again.
Puns.
Just like not
the puns.
Okay.
Oh.
Tim, you know me. You know I love a good pun. I am all for torturing people with the dad jokes.
Of course.
But that was too much. That was too much.
You use a pun ironically. That's where you get your laugh, but when it's almost every second line from your main character, it's torturous.
Yep. It was so bad. It was.
There was a couple of moments when Dex Dogtective, such a dumb name.
Yep.
He's doing one of his puns, and you just get a hint in the dialogue that Charlie Sheen is like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? And apparently he came back to re-record his lines several times over many years of the production.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been where the money was going, because I can't see anyone willing to read that kind of dialogue, especially
More than once.
especially when you're making millions
Yeah.
of dollars from a TV show like what Sheen was. Why would you come back constantly to re-record the most horrific dialogue, saying the dumbest puns?
It's yeah, and because going back to the story point we mentioned earlier, when we're just thrown into this world with zero context, because they've thrown you into the middle of this, the dialogue is trying to do so much heavy lifting.
Oh, it is.
Because they're like, we can't show you this world because we've made this creative decision, so let's tell you everything. And it's just like, oh no, Dan's gonna try the loop-de-loop. He's never made it before. Oh my,
It's like you're making dialogue for 3-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, I was waiting for Dora to jump out of a bush and ask me if I'd seen the thing that was in her hand.
Honestly, I think Teletubbies have more riveting dialogue than this film.
Oh yeah, no, you are correct. You are absolutely, sadly correct. All right, what about you? What's your thoughts on that, on the music?
I've heard films with worse music choices.
You have.
I do feel like it matches the feel of the film, I guess. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of there. Is it memorable? No. Do I want to run out and get the soundtrack to Foodfight? No.
You don't? No, you're not gonna listen to that on your car rides on repeat.
What I would give for that. I love it when my ears bleed. Yeah, no, it was a failure. It's definitely not the worst part of the film, but yeah, could have been better. Could have been better. What about story? What are your thoughts on this story, Caitlin?
What is it? If you can tell me what the plot is, I will gladly accept your answer. Because, I mean, yeah, we're stopping the evil X, but like, and a dog is trying to propose to a cat lady, and Danger Dan is verbally assaulting women and trying to do loop-de-loops. I'm really confused by all of this. I don't know why any of it had to happen. Nothing feels motivated.
Yes.
It doesn't line up. Everything seems to be there for the absurd quality of it.
Yep.
It's relying very much on that absurd sort of humor where it's like, it's funny because it doesn't connect. And it's like, but that doesn't work for a story. If you're trying to tell a story to someone, and particularly something where you have to suspend your disbelief as hard as you do with this concept, you really need to have that connection of, here is a consistent and coherent storyline, and it wasn't coherent.
Not at all.
At all.
No.
At all. So yeah, definitely needs a rework, I would say.
It feels like it was a first draft. It doesn't feel like anything was reworked. It doesn't feel like they got other people's opinions on the script. It's all over the place. The script itself is just as bad as how this film looks. Yeah. What else can you say about it?
It's so bad. Even like the characterization of the whole X brand, you don't really like the whole way like that they have signified that this brand is evil. Is like they couldn't come up with a good character motivation really for any of them. They couldn't kind of get it across in the dialogue or the performance properly. So they just went Nazi symbolism. We're just going to do Nazi symbolism and there we go. Evil, sorted, done. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but like that's really lazy.
It's so lazy. I mean, and they don't even try to convince anyone why brand X is a good thing.
No.
Like they're singing a song, sort of, where they're like, brand X, we're simple and plain.
Well, then why does anyone want it? Like
Exactly. And then for some reason the regular characters start singing the French national anthem or something.
No, it's not the French.
Well, it's got the same tune, and I'm like, why? What's going on?
it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why does that scene exist? I'm going to be honest, I was blocking that scene from my brain, but now I have to remember it exists. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
It is what I do.
Yeah. I have a question about Lady X and why she's trying to seduce Dex. I'm still unclear on this point, and why, like, her outfit was already extremely sexual when she gets there.
It's a kids movie.
Like, suddenly she's breaking into his office dressed as a sexy schoolgirl, and I'm like literally throwing herself at him, like leg over his shoulder. Like, why? This is, again, kids movie. What are you doing?
Take out the whole kids movie thing. It doesn't even make sense for the plot.
No. And then there's also that goop that they're shooting at the other brands, like, make them spoil. But, like, is your goal to be the dominant brand? Or, like, you don't need to, like they were very effectively just kind of trying to do that, like, we're out marketing sort of thing.
Yeah.
I say very effectively. Nothing in this film is very effective. Like, please do not...
Well, it's very effective at turning us off, this film.
Yes. But, you know, in the context of the film...
Sure.
They were quite effective at kind of out-branding and, like, you know, being the aggressive, hostile takeover.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're getting other products recalled. Firstly, I don't know how that works, but sure. Getting other products recalled so they can take the place on the shelf. You don't need to have this whole thing of, like, oh, they're shooting this goop that's making products spoil and now we have to find the antidote. And, like, it just felt very unnecessary. It was just there to add a little bit of drama, and it didn't need to be there. Like, I think this film is very confused about what its villain is and what it's doing. It's like, are we fighting Nazis or are we doing science? I don't know. Or are we just proposing to Catwomen? I really don't know.
And to be honest, I don't even think that the creators knew what they want, what they were doing.
No. I did see a thing talking about the direction of the film and the constant retakes that would go back and forth. And that apparently the animators in particular were given the instruction, just make it 30% more awesome. Because that's a really coherent instruction to give. Like, not go and do this or go and fix this bit. This movement's not right. I want them to do this. Just make it more awesome. Like, that is the sign of a director that does not know what they want or anything about animation. You can't just be like, work it out.
Forget animation, just film in general or anything. When you get feedback just saying, make it better, okay, what's your feedback? You know?
Great, how? What do you want?
If the director doesn't know, how are we supposed to know?
Exactly. Yeah, and if you can't say what's wrong with it, then you don't need to redo it. Like, why are you wasting money redoing something when you don't know what you want to do? I'm very against writing blank checks for things, so...
Oh, hell yes. This film obviously isn't.
Yeah, and we should all learn from their mistakes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Learn from the evils of history.
We are doomed to repeat it, please, dear God, let us learn.
Please. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just wrap this dumpster fire up. Okay, last thoughts on this film.
Well, I'm not going to scream down the microphone, which is what I'd like to do because I don't want to have to do that to your ears in the editing room, Tim. Why, dear God, why?
Valid question.
Yeah. Also, I'm never going to forgive you for inflicting this film upon me.
I'm never going to forgive myself.
I was living in blissful ignorance. Thank you, Tim. Nothing about this film works. There is the only one redeeming quality I can find in it, and I just want you to know this is a stretch.
Everything about this film is a stretch.
Show it to film students as a confidence boost, because no matter how bad a film they make, it's not going to be as bad as Foodfight.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It should be shown to film students, to animation students at why you should actually put effort into your work.
It's very easy to dissect everything that's wrong with it. Go, see how they messed this up? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great teaching
Absolutely.
tool.
You need to show students the evils of
Yeah.
history. Just so that, we're not doomed to repeat it.
Yes.
I just hope we're not.
Mm.
Yep. Oh, all
Yeah.
right. All right. Oh,
Yeah.
this definitely was painful.
Can we give it a negative score? Does it have to be in the positives?
I don't think that there is any negative number that is right for this film. That does it justice. But unfortunately, we do have to give it a score. And I do regret having to put you into this position, asking you this very serious question. Caitlin, how many stars would you give this film?
If I'm allowed to go into the negatives, let's go -5 out of 5. I could go lower. I'm just literally going on a scale. If 5 is 100%,
Yep.
it's just all in the wrong direction. Just no. Just no. None of this.
But
Stop.
I regret to inform you that we are not allowed to give negative stars.
Fine. Can I give a 0?
Yep, that counts.
All right,
Yep.
cool. Thank you. Thank you. It gets a 0. That's generous.
Yes, it certainly is. I'm also giving it 0. There is nothing redeemable about this film. It just needs to be thrown into the rubbish. And my final thoughts on this film, I just have to say, I don't give a spam.
Oh, no, that's it.
You're tapping out?
I'm out, Tim.
Okay.
Goodbye.
And I
I'm
think
tapping out.
I can hear our audience tapping out as well. Thank you everyone for bearing with us on this one.
Yeah.
But yep, not enough can be said about this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Catch you guys later.
Thanks, everyone.